Hello, this is Frida Liu, and you're watching The Shift Asia in depth with CelcomDigi. CelcomDigi is integrating ESG considerations into its core business strategy and recognizing the interconnectedness of digital connectivity and societal well-being. It's embarking on a journey to redefine its role in the global landscape with its trust of advancing and inspiring society, supported by 4 pillars, namely inclusive and safe digital access, sustainable value chain, governance and performance culture, and environmental impact and action. Breaking it down for us the next few weeks, we have Philip Ling, the head of sustainability at CelcomDigi, and we're going to talk about the first pillar, which is inclusive and safe digital access, where the organization wants to ensure all Malaysians from all walks of life and all parts of the country are able to equitably enjoy the benefits of digital lives and digital society and become responsible and resilient digital citizens. So a lot of words, Philip, but I guess at the end of the day, why is inclusive and safe digital access part of the sustainability agenda for CelcomDigi?
Thank you, Frida. So again, we are a mobile connectivity provider, right? At the end of the day, it is our ambition and aspiration that Malaysians are able to leverage on the power of the internet. So as we provide the internet to even young people or seniors who are coming on joining us in this digital age, we realize that it comes with a huge responsibility, right? So not only do I give you access to the internet, we also know that there are risks involved in the internet. So either we're talking about cybersecurity, hacks, even scams, or even for younger people, things like cyberbullying, oversharing. So there are multiple risks in this world, digital world, and it's important that we not only create the awareness for these young participants or seniors, but we also lift the resilience level. When you encounter something, how do you respond to it?
And I just have to bring up like a couple. Well, most recently, a girl who killed herself, right? And she's 30, right? And how that, because of cyberbullying, right? Now, you conducted over 500,000 community engagements in 2023 around online safety and digital inclusion. And maybe, how prevalent an issue is online safety in Malaysia?
It is very much. So if you look at even the World Economic Forum Global Risk Report, cybersecurity has been up there for the past few years. As the internet expands, it gets more complicated, more platforms come up. It has become so prevalent that UNICEF already tells us that more than 90% of children are actively engaging on the internet, right? So they are doing a lot of things even more advanced, sometimes even than us. So there could be a few possibilities. They can both be a victim or a perpetrator of cyberbullying, right? And sometimes they don't know it better, right? So it's important to be able to address both sides of the spectrum, in the sense that what do you do, what behaviors or norms should be allowed on the internet world, and also where do you go for help if you come across things that you are uncomfortable with. Right.
And we forget that, right? Sometimes the perpetrators don't know that they're perpetrators. They think it's allowed behavior. But because they don't know any better, right? It's a new thing for us. So what is the work around online safety to support the community? What are you guys doing?
So there are various layers that we're doing, again, because of the complexity of the problem. But the most important thing is to create advocates or champions, right? So we do a lot of train-the-trainer programs. Again, CelcomDigi has 307 internet centers called National Information Dissemination Centers now. So we are training a lot of managers there, because these are in rural and hard-to-reach places. And usually that is the community that we want to reach the most, the more marginalized. Within the cities and urban areas, we work with universities, schools. So we provide modules of all sorts, right? Depending on which risk that you need to address. And then we also linked up that ecosystem. Because you have a preventive part, but you also need to have a cure part. Which NGO do I call? Which hotline do I call? If it borders on criminal activity, who do I reach out for help? So we try to build that ecosystem together with partners.
Okay, so it's not just everybody has to play their part, right? What about digital inclusion, and what does that entail? There's this thing you have, future skills for all.
Yes. So we have 2 flagship programs. The first flagship is the Safe Internet we spoke about. The second flagship program, we call it Future Skills, because we also realize, as you probably hear, jobs that's available today will not be available tomorrow, right? So as the whole society moves towards a new digital age, we also know that there will be gaps, digital gaps, if we don't address it. Whether or not young people today has the opportunity to learn about coding, robotics, drones. So the Future Skills program is interesting because what we have done is that we've taken the school syllabus, the national school syllabus that looks at computer science, and we've actually converted it to a digital platform, right? So now it is freely accessible by all students in Malaysia.
Right.
So in the sense that you go to school, you may learn about this chapter today from the teacher, you're not sure, or
Right.
you missed that day, right? So you can always go to the platform and look up. And then in our internet centers, we've also put a lot of microbits, drones, so actually things that you can touch. I think children learn through experience,
Yes,
right?
yes.
They have to touch and feel it
Feel.
and build something with it, no? And that's where we are trying to close that gap. Beyond that, we've actually also put the modules in 4 languages and also with sign language, because we also learned that there is a large community who are being inclusive, right?
Yeah.
And they can do great things when they know how to do digital skills in the future.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Very interesting point you brought up there. Right. Now, okay. What about service reliability and quality? Is this the case in the whole of Malaysia, including the interiors in Sabah and Sarawak? Do they have equal access?
At this point, no, but of course the government is working very much with the industry to put the access more and more. So today, example in Future Skills, there are a lot of hard to reach places in East Malaysia, right?
Yeah.
So one of the things we've done is that we've built an offline kit, right, on coding. So
Okay.
it's in a form of a card game, right? So it's distributed to the communities in those areas. And as kids play, because coding is a very logical language, as you play a card game, it's also a very logical language.
Right.
So we are also preparing them that once the internet access arrives at those locations, whether through satellite or fiber in the future, it's easier for them to adopt this digital age, the learnings in that sense. Right, so as we look at different gaps at different maturity levels across the company, we try to work with a lot of partners to find solutions. I think, and once we find a more equitable society, I think in the same way also when it comes to scams, when it comes to cyberbullying and all those, we need to be able to close that gap and bring people together so that the society matures as a whole of society approach.
Right. And then you're talking about learning, touch and feel, right? It's not just kids, adults also.
Yes.
We learn better that way, right? Okay, what about affordability and inclusive services? What do you mean by that?
Again, when we look at different communities today, there are different needs, right?
Okay.
So, example, my parents, they use the internet for a very specific purpose, right?
To send WhatsApp messages.
So they don't need the full scale of the smartphone in that sense, right? So again, because of also economic pressures, people cannot afford sometimes the full package and the full 5G or the full usage of the internet. So it's important for us to have various accessibility packages for different groups in the society, right? Catering for their needs. So if you want to, you are using your mobile for studying, there should be a package that gives you more data for studying, right? If there's a package for you as a delivery person, right? You might need to use your maps more and all those, right? Or even civil servants. So we are trying to segmentize it a bit more so that we help people on that journey.
Right. Okay. And it's only relevant for me and what I need at the moment, right?
Yes,
so you don't need
an
the full
affordable
suite.
and accessible rate.
And I think one of the things as well, and of course, Dato' Idam was on recently, but talking about data privacy and cybersecurity. What's the current scenario nationally at the moment?
Well, we've just there's a reading of the Personal Data Privacy Act, and it's becoming more and more prevalent. I think overall, businesses in Malaysia can see that as we move towards the age of AI and more, data privacy becomes very much both an opportunity as well as a risk.
Right.
But then the question is, as an organization, are you ready for it? Most organizations are collecting a lot of data of customers. As a mobile operator, we have a lot of data about customers. Now, when do you travel? When you roam, when you switch off your phone, how often you travel? So a lot of this data, we need to be able to protect it in the way where our customers understand what we are doing. So for example, if you sign up for any postpaid and prepaid today, there's a whole data privacy clause that you have to look at, right? But a lot of customers don't really read it, right?
Yeah, right.
Right.
Just get the bottom, agree.
So what we've actually done is that we've taken that and we've made it into an infographic.
Okay.
Very bite-sized that we push out to customers. What type of data are we collecting from you? Why are we collecting
Okay.
data? How long are we retaining your data?
I love infographics.
And of course, what right do you have? You can tell us,
Okay.
I don't want you to collect certain data, right?
Right.
So there are rights that the customer needs to know when it comes to data privacy. Of course, internally, there's a lot of frameworks. There's a lot of systems in play for telco to operate. So to be able to put guards at every door, in a sense, to make sure that no data is leaked or breached or any unethical behavior is happening in the company. So to put that framework in place, it's a journey, but we are glad to say that we are on that journey. And we are improving on that sense. Yeah.
I'm happy with infographics. So picture paints 1,000 words. That's how my mind operates anyway. So your target for this year is 100% of privacy control framework implemented for high-risk data processing functions. So that's 2024. So what does this mean and its impact on citizens?
So through this, again, one of the things we've been doing from last year is that we've been doing something called a trust circle.
Okay.
So a trust circle is where we bring different industries together because all of us, although we're in different industries, we're collecting customers' data, right?
Yes.
So we need to learn from one another if the data crosses borders, right? And how do I ensure that the high standards that I have in my organization is also the same high standards across my supply chain, across my business partners, So I think as an overall society, if you want to ensure that there is high data privacy framework for your company as well as for your suppliers, you need to uplift the whole ecosystem. So we've looked at the higher risk areas in our company. We've put the guardrails, we put the framework, we've put impact assessments in those areas. And we are also teaching this to our supply chain. Right. So suppliers, if you work with CelcomDigi, these are the requirements in our agreement of business conduct. Now, how are you taking care of the data, personal data, if we are sharing it with you for business purposes?
All right. And of course, we'll be covering other pillars in the following weeks. I've been speaking to Ling from CelcomDigi, and you've been watching the Shift Asia in depth with CelcomDigi.